I want everyone in the audience to raise your hands with me. Keep them up super, super high. So you're probably wondering why I've asked you to do this. And it's because I know that every single one of you in this room, at some point in your life, has had really, really, really bad diarrhea. Don't lie, we've all had it. We've all been there. Okay. Now, diarrhea can be caused by many different things. By coffee, by science slams, and by salmonella. So food poisoning caused by salmonella will leave you basically chained to the toilet, or perhaps running to the hospital for a course of antibiotics. But 1 in 10 people affected will develop lifelong arthritis and serious neurological disorders. In worst case scenarios, it can lead to death. In fact, this year alone, over 100,000 people will die as a result of eating food contaminated by salmonella. Now, sorry, I totally forgot my spot. Now, if you're anything like me, you like cookie batter more than the actual cookie itself.
Agreed.
We know that raw eggs are a consistent source of contamination, and so is produce. So things like lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and sprouts are all high-risk foods because we don't cook them and we eat them raw, which would normally inactivate the pathogen. So we've all heard of the term superbug. Yes? Yeah. So antibiotic-resistant salmonella has been popping up in these produce outbreaks. And they're basically like the Clark Kent of all salmonella, as they're immune to the very antibiotics that we use to treat human infection. Sorry. Infection. So the World Health Organization recently stated that antibiotic-resistant superbugs are one of the major public health threats that we as a society face today. Because once antibiotics stop working, we can die from something as simple as a UTI. So that's where this guy comes in, and I'm sure you're all wondering what this is. So this is actually a virus. And although it looks very threatening, it's not a human virus, it's a bacterial virus. It's called a bacteriophage, or phage for short. The word bacteriophage in Latin literally means bacteria eater, and that's what it does. It kills salmonella. And it does so by recognizing very specific molecules on the surface of the cell with these tails here, which is what it uses to initiate the killing. So there's some advantages to using phage in food products. For one, it's very safe, as it targets bacterial cells and not human cells. And we're actually already eating them every day because they're in the foods that we eat and in the water that we drink. However, not all phages will look the same. Some look a little bit different than this one, and some kill salmonella better than others. So one of the goals of my research is to find super effective phages that will kill salmonella in produce. So let's rewind, and I'll take you back to the beginning of my journey. So a couple of years ago, I went out to Surrey, and I discovered something really, really cool. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking the same thing as me. So Surrey, of all places for a scientific discovery. So it was actually this. So in a sample of water, I discovered a bacteriophage that was very promising because it killed many types of salmonella. So after realizing this, I decided to take it a step further and test it out on produce. So who here eats sprouts? Who here likes sprouts? Yeah. So sprouts taste great, and they look great on salads, on sandwiches, on Instagram, but unfortunately, microbiologically, they're known to cause many different outbreaks. So I took my sprouts, I put salmonella on it, and then I put my phage on it, and it turns out that 99.9% of the salmonella was killed off by the phage. And the salmonella that we used was antibiotic resistant, so it was a superbug. So where does all of this research and all of this data accumulation lead us today? How does this translate into the bigger picture? Well, our long-term objective is to develop a phage-based product that can be sprayed onto all produce items within Canada, as currently there's nothing that's routinely used. So we're working on finding some super effective phages to accomplish this goal. And it's our long-term mission that hopefully over time we will help to alleviate the burden of salmonella food poisoning in Canada and prevent all of that projectile poo. Thank you.